Hi students, once again I welcome you all to my channel Abrar Sir Classes. Today we'll be seeing problems on periodic electromagnetic induction. This topic lies in the chapter electromagnetic induction. We'll be learning how to solve problems in just 45 seconds. Okay, this is the very first problem. What it is saying in an AC dynamo is nothing but AC generator. Okay, AC generator. The peak value of EMF is, they have given the peak value, that is E naught is equal to 60 volts they have given. Okay. The induced EMF, you have to calculate E in volts in the position when the armature makes an angle of 30 degree. Theta is equal to how much? 30 degree. Okay. You have to calculate E. We know that E is equal to what? E naught sine of theta. Where what is E naught? E naught is nothing but the maximum value of the EMF induced, that is the peak value of the EMF induced, that is given by NB into A into omega. Anyway, they have given directly E naught is equal to 60 into sine of 30 degree. How much is sine of 30 degree? 60 into 1 by 2. That is E is equal to 30 volts is the right answer. Hope you understood. This is a very direct problem based on the this formula. E is equal to E naught sine of theta. Okay. E is equal to E naught sine of omega t, where theta is equal to omega into t. Anyway, they have given directly theta 30 degree. I can substitute this one. Next problem. What it is saying? It is saying that in an AC dynamo, again AC generator, the number of turns in the armature are made 4 times and the angular velocity 9 times. Here what it is saying, okay, n number of turns is it is making, okay, it is made 4n, okay, are made 4 times, and the angular velocity is made how many times? 9 times, 9 omega. Okay, we, the peak value of EMF induced, just now I told you that what is E naught? E naught is nothing but NB A into omega, the peak value of the EMF induced. Okay, therefore what is E naught? E naught is equal to NB into A into omega E naught dash. Okay, E naught dash, in place of n, I'll be writing 4n into b into a is as it is, omega is 9 into omega. E naught dash is equal to 4 nines are 36. 36 nb a into omega, that is 36 E naught. 36 E naught. So E naught dash is equal to 36 into E naught, 36 times. This is the right answer. Hope you understood this one. We'll go to the next problem. What is saying? It is saying that the armature of a DC motor, now this is what? A DC motor, okay, has 20 ohm resistance. It draws a current. Okay, first we'll be drawing R is equal to 20 ohm, I is equal to how much? 1.5 amperes. Okay, when run by a 220 volt DC supply. E is equal to how much? 220 volts supply. Okay, the value of the back EMF induced. First draw the circuit diagram. Okay, draw the circuit diagram. This is the value of R, they have given 20 ohm. Okay, this is the EMF induced, okay, in the armature winding, that is E induced. Always it will be opposing the very cause of it, that is plus minus E they have given. E is how much? E is equal to 220 volts. Okay, what we have to calculate? The EMF induced, they have given current. Okay, how much current they have given? Current they have given as I is equal to 1.5 amperes. We know that I is equal to what? I is equal to capital E minus small e, that is EMF induced in the armature winding divided by R. Okay. Now I is equal to how much? 1.5. E they have given 220 minus E induced, we do not know. Okay. That is the back EMF. Okay. Divided by R is how much? R is 20. Okay. Therefore 1.5 into 20, that is equal to 220 minus of E induced. That is E induced is equal to 220 minus of 30 is equal to 190 volts is the right answer. 190 E induced is This is the value of the EMF induced, that is 190 volts is the right answer. Hope you have understood this one. Okay, next problem. We'll see. If the rotational velocity of a dynamo, okay, armature is doubled, that is omega is what? Doubled to 2 omega. Then the induced EMF will become, what is the value of the EMF induced? E naught sine of theta. Okay, that is equal to, what is E naught? NB into A into omega sine of theta. Okay, E is equal to, E is what? Proportional to what? E is proportional to omega. Therefore, what happens to then the induced, if E dash, okay, E dash is proportional to what? To omega. Then what happens? This EMF induced will be equal to how much? E dash will be proportional to 2 into E. 2 into E. Then the induced EMF will become 2 times. Becomes double. Okay. E dash will be equal to 2E. Hope you understood this problem. Next problem we'll see. A simple electric motor has an armature. Whenever you see problems, okay, draw a circuit diagram of DC motor. This is the value of EMF induced, and this is R, and this is the supply voltage. Okay, how much the value of R? R they have given 1 ohm. Okay, and then how much is the source voltage? That is equal to 12 volts, right? 12 volts. EMF induced. Okay, when running unloaded. Okay, this is E induced. Okay, E induced. What is the value of I? Have they given the value of I? Yes. Okay, when it is unloaded, okay, it is I is equal to how many amperes? 2 amperes. What is meant by unloaded? Unloaded, it is not loaded. Angular speed, how much is the angular speed they have given? Okay, in the second case it is becoming 1/2. In the first case it is unloaded angular speed is equal to how much? Equal to omega, that is E is proportional to omega. What happens in the second case? It is becoming 1 by 2 omega. Okay, again the same circuit I'll be writing. This is R and E are same. This is plus, this is minus again. Okay, plus minus. Anyway, this is plus minus. E is equal to how much? Same 12 volts. R is again 1 ohm. Now you have to calculate the new value of current, that is I dash. I dash is equal to how much? I dash is equal to how much? Now this is what? Loaded case. This is loaded. Angular speed is becoming how much? Angular speed here is equal to half, that is 1 by 2 omega. Therefore, E induced will be what? E induced will be E by 2, because E is proportional to omega. This will be E induced by 2. E induced by 2. Okay, this will be E induced by 2. First, let us calculate how much is E induced here. What is the formula to calculate? Just now we have seen what is I is equal to. I is equal to capital E minus E induced by how much? By R. Okay, you know I 2, you know capital E 12 minus E induced I do not know. We'll calculate by R is how much? 1. Okay, therefore here E induced will be how much? 12 minus 2 is 10 volts. 10 volts, right? Okay, 10 volts. E induced is 10 volts. Now this will be how much? E induced, this will be 10 by 2 is how much? This will be 5 volts. This will be 5 volts. Now calculate the value of I dash. Okay, in this case we will see what is the value of I dash. I dash will be equal to capital E 12 minus of E induced, that is 5, divided by R is how much? 1. I dash will be equal to 7 amperes is the right answer. 7 amperes is the right answer. Hope you understood this. This is very easy. Okay, let us say you are using what, a machine, okay, which is unloaded. Unloaded angular speed is omega. When you load it, okay, let us say a drilling machine, okay, it is not drilled, okay, angular speed is omega. When you increase the load, what happens? The speed decreases. That is omega. That's what they are saying. Okay. When you are going on bike alone, you can go as fast as you can. If 2 3 people are sitting, the speed reduces. Okay, the angular speed here is reducing. I dash is equal to 7 amperes. Hope you understood this one. We'll go to the next problem. What is saying? An electric motor operating on a 50-volt DC supply. Okay. Once again, kindly write the circuit diagram of DC motor. This is the supply voltage, source voltage plus minus E. Okay, and now this is plus minus E induced anyway. Okay, and this is R and this is I. What is the value of I? I is equal to what? I is equal to E minus of E induced by R. Okay, now current is how much they have given? 12 amperes. This is how much? E is equal to 50 volts. I is equal to how much? 12 amperes. Okay, 12 amperes they are given. Okay, if the efficiency of the motor, here they are talking about what? Efficiency of the motor. What is efficiency of the motor? Efficiency of the motor is given by output by input. Efficiency of the motor is given by what? Output by input. Now here, which is the input power? Input power for a DC motor. Input power. What is a motor basically? Motor is a device which converts what? Which converts what? Electrical energy into mechanical energy. Mechanical energy. Which is the input? Electrical energy is the input. Which is the output? Mechanical energy is the output. Okay. Therefore, input power. Okay, input power is equal to how much? That is E into I. E into I. What is the output power? Okay. Output power is what? That is mechanical power. Output power is what? Output power is given by E induced into I. Okay. E induced into I. What is efficiency? Efficiency is nothing but output power divided by input power. How much is the output power? E induced into I divided by what? E into I. I gets cancelled. You are going to get, this is called eta. This symbol is called what? Eta. Okay, eta. Eta is equal to, that is efficiency. Output power divided by input power. Therefore, efficiency is given by E induced by E. Now here they have given how much is the value of the eta? That is 30% they have given. Therefore, eta is equal to what? 30%. That is equal to E induced by E. Right? Okay, they have given 30%. Now, from here you can calculate very easily. What is E induced is nothing but 30 by 100. Okay, 30 by 100 into 50. 0 0 gets cancelled. Okay, 1. That is 15 volts. 15 volts we are getting. E induced. What you have to calculate? You have to calculate, estimate the resistance of the winding. You have to calculate R. How to calculate R? Okay, E induced, you calculated. How much is E induced? E induced is getting what? 15 volts. 15 volts. Now from here you can calculate the value of I. You can calculate the value of the resistance of the winding. You know I, you know E induced, you know capital E. You have to calculate R. Okay. Now I is equal to E induced. You know the value of I, that is 12, is equal to E induced, you know 50 volts minus 12 is equal to capital E is equal to 50 minus E induced how much? Just now we calculated 15 divided by R, you do not know. Okay, therefore R is equal to 50 minus 15 by 12. R is equal to how much? 35 by 12. 35 by 12 is approximately nearly 3. Okay, that is 2.9 ohm is the right answer. 2.9 ohm is the right answer. Hope you understood this, all these problems on AC generator as well as a DC motor. AC generator as well as DC motor. Now I'll be stopping here. If you have liked this video, kindly like it, share with your friends, subscribe for my channel, and ask doubts in the comment box. Okay. Now today these many problems we have solved. Okay, some problems on what, AC dynamo, and some problems on DC motor. Kindly do these kind of problems. Definitely one problem will be there either in KCET or in your NEET examinations. Okay, these are the interesting problems. Kindly subscribe for my channel to work out these types of interesting problems of your choice. Thank you one and all. I wish you all the best for your KCET and NEET exams.